Welcome back. We have an episode from Coach Kyle Raw. Society is too sexual and he hates it. Let's get into it.
Society is overly sexual and I hate it only because of what I've recently discovered. See, as of recently, I've been able to finally control my urges, my desires, my cravings for lust that have controlled me. Literally, they've controlled me over the last decade plus, right? I was a dude growing up. I didn't have much success with women. I was really antisocial. My dad passed away at a very young age, and I closed off from the world through my teenage years. I dove really deep into weed and video games, and my first girl left me for another dude when I was 24. So in my mid-20s, about 10 years ago, I was at rock bottom socially, didn't have much of a dating life, and I didn't know how to go out and attract a quality partner. And so being in that position, all I really did, honestly, was smoke weed, watch porn, masturbate. And that was really what my sex life and dating life looked like for quite some time. Even when I was in that first relationship, right? I was hyper fixated on porn and masturbation since I was like 12 to even in my 20s. So that's already like 13 years of doing it. And then really from there up until 30. So honestly, guys, 20 years, the majority of my life has been spent with porn and masturbation and increasing the use of weed, drugs, alcohol, all this other shit, right? So I've been very conditioned to these concepts, right? And it's not just because of porn. This is not just about no-fap and porn. I'm talking about society as a whole, right? You go on social media, you see a bunch of girls fucking twerking. Every other meme page is just ass. You walk around, a lot of girls are just showing ass. A lot of women. You go to the gym, all these girls are showing ass. Like it's at the gym even.
Yeah.
It's everywhere, right? You watch.
I told you guys women sexualize every space they moved into. That final frontier where it was still pretty wholesome was Twitch. You guys remember when Twitch was just about video games? And then chicks started figuring out that there's nothing but starved, porn-addicted simps with no female attention, and they could suck at games, but as long as they got their tatas squished out, they will get a ton of views. Y'all remember that? Way before girls started streaming video games. You had guys like Shroud and all these other people that were like human robots, basically, with auto aim. They were so good, and it was watching them in awe because the skill difference, you could never be that skilled. You're watching somebody with a talent. It was great. And then came the female streamers and completely fucking useless. Dead-brained. Conversations were trash with the chat, but literally had huge knockers on display. That was it. And guys were donating left and right. And they were taking advantage of an untapped market of teenage boys that had access to parents' credit cards or whatever. They're giving them like gifting subs and all the little emojis you could buy, the stickers, whatever bullshit was on there. And then Twitch just decided to go all in on the hypersexualization. Then they had, what was that shit called? The tub meta, where they were sitting in the hot tubs doing nothing. Basically softcore porn. Yeah, bro. Is it everywhere? Yes. It's designed to get you addicted.
Movies, clickbait, YouTube.
Bad.
It's everywhere. You literally cannot get away from it, honestly. And if you're already a slave to these urges, you could see why that could literally control your entire life. And what I want to explain to you guys in this video really is like, as of recently.
That's why I'm for the Republicans banning porn under the age of 18, where they force the companies to verify with identification, your driver's license or whatever. There's so many coomers on Reddit and where else that were like freaking out that some states had already done this. I can't remember which states it was. I'm so glad. Get this shit out of the hands of a 12-year-old or 13-year-old. It's so psychologically damaging for a young man to see that, to compare himself, to get it's like attention from women in social media, how they're addicted to the attention. Same shit happens with porn and men. It becomes an addiction. They can't stop. There's dudes that literally develop a behavior which they soothe themselves through masturbation over and over. Life gets stressful, something happens at work, they got to go rub one out. Bad news from family or whatever, got an argument, rub one out. They could be in relationships with a woman and go rub one out after an argument. It's an addiction. It becomes a habitual thing that they do to cope and soothe, which then you understand that it's a high biological cost to keep replenishing that shit. And it zaps your motivation and your ambition to do anything. Because instead of going out and chasing the world through some sexual frustration, sexual transmutation, using that energy, that pent up energy you have to go out and do shit, you will just completely jack it all away. and then you're stuck in your room, and then you're going to smoke a joint, and then you're going to hop on and play video games for 10 hours, and another day was wasted, and another day turns into 6 months, turns into years. Now you look like the gamer body. You have the Destiny build. You're fucking disgusting. No one looks at you. You blame everybody but yourself. You're addicted to jacking. You're choking your chicken all day, smoking weed, playing video games. That's why I say get rid of that shit. There's some guys, very few guys, that have a healthy relationship. They'll only play as a reward of doing really hard work and getting ahead in life. Most people have a fucking problem. Most people use them as an escape. If you're using them as a reward for hard work, you're different. Talk about video games, not porn. Don't ever use that shit, period. Or anime or whatever. But if you're using them as a form of escape from the life you hate, you are the problem. You have a problem.
I've overcome a lot of these things, but it was because of a couple different pivotal moments that I did. It wasn't just like one day I flipped the switch and then suddenly it was over. It first started in March earlier this year. I decided to do 100 days of celibacy. And I'm not saying you need to do that. I just want to explain to you guys the different pivotal moments I had and how they impacted me and how you could ultimately make a decision for yourself about how it's controlling you and how free you could be on the other side of this. But after doing the 100 days of celibacy, while still going out and interacting with the world, like I still went out during that 100 days. I committed to 100 days of celibacy, no porn, no masturbation, no sex, nothing. But I continued to go out and interact with the world. I continued to go out and do cold approach with women 100 days in a row still. And during that time, I also went on a bunch of dates. Like I probably met maybe 8 or so women in that 100 days that I actually had a follow-up date with. All right, I didn't tell any of these girls that, hey, by the way, I'm going to be celibate or anything. I just went into these interactions with an open mind, looking to connect, looking to explore how the date would go, right? And after the whole thing ended, I had noticed something. I had noticed that, number one, most of the women that I previously would have been excited to go on these dates with and maybe would have even masturbated to, or maybe would have hoped to get a lay from, so I could knock that lay count notch off on my belt and have slayed that interaction. Once I took that off of the table and that wasn't even part of the equation, I found myself on a lot of these dates or interactions thinking to myself, this isn't even a girl that I genuinely connect with, right? There was a couple different eye-opening experiences. One of them was I realized this isn't even a girl I genuinely connect with, right? And there's nothing wrong with her. Like I could actually see her for who she is as a human being, not an object, not a whole. I was actually able to see her as a human being. It's kind of funny as I'm saying this, but you don't even realize that how much of your own vision is clouded because of all of this. It's all going to come together by the end of this video, but this is one piece of it, is that you don't realize that a lot of the girls that you're chasing, that you're hoping for, that you're fantasizing, you don't even really want to be with that girl. You're chasing that one moment that you've built up in your brain because of all the content you consume and the lifestyle habits that you have. You've grown accustomed to chasing after that thing. And honestly, guys, it's an infinite hamster wheel loop of bullshit chasing. It's really dopamine is what it is. Like that's one form of chasing dopamine that we've gotten accustomed to as a means of sexual release. It's dopamine and a sexual release of lust in that moment. And honestly, if you've been conditioned a certain way, like how I was, it would also mean sexual gratification, ego validation, confirmation of a certain identity.
Yep.
Which wasn't even the identity that I wanted to be. It was the identity that I had created because I had put walls up to protect a previously hurt identity.
Yes. Or society tells you what it means to be a man, and that's having a ton of women. So then you feel like you're less than unless you get a ton of women. So then you go into the hookup culture, meeting all these women, trying to bed them, getting your numbers up so you could feel like you're living up to the standard of what society tells you a man should be. When we're living in a society full of hedonism, consumerism, absolutely lost souls that are leading us, telling us what it means to be happy when they themselves are addicted to the shit on their screen. They themselves are on a ton of pills. They live these, quote, happy, perfect lives on Instagram, but really behind closed doors, they're fucking miserable people. They're drug addicted. They can't get through the day without whatever drug there is that they're doing just to make it, to sustain themselves on top of the pharmacologicals. These people are sick. And then they get online, these sick people, and then they tell you how to be happy. And you could be completely normal, maybe just a little lost, but then you're taking cues from a sick person because they've crafted the perfect image online. Or you hang around stupid dudes too. I had some bad friend groups that were, pushing you in the wrong direction, crabs in a bucket as well, because they messed up in their lives and they wanted you to be the same kind of degenerate they were. So some of us are hanging around the wrong people in general, or taking the wrong information from people online. Doing some deep soul searching, disconnecting, touching grass, going hiking, finding a group of people that are actually grounded is very hard, man. That's harder than anything else in the world today. You could be a dude on Instagram with 50 bitches. That's not hard. There's fucking sugar babies everywhere. There's chicks that are selling themselves for nothing. So much damage, so much psychological damage all over the world. That's not impressive. Impressive is having a family. Impressive is having a strong circle of guys that you could respect, that are all crushing it in whatever it is that they're doing. And they'll hold you accountable. But, we want the quick, easy, fast. 6 steps to this. How to become a millionaire in 3 seconds. Come on, man.
And I'm saying this because some of you guys don't realize, I didn't realize that nobody talks about this shit online. I don't hear anybody explaining these concepts. I heard everybody explaining the opposite concepts.
Yeah, when you try to tell guys this, there's going to be there's coomers in the comment section. You're going to see them. Well, this is all I have. Well, after a long day's work, what's wrong with just jacking one out and playing my video? There's always going to be the addicts that are defending their addictions. There's nothing that you can tell them. It's insane, bro. They'll be all over. Watch this comment section. Watch. Oh, it's so easy I bet you they'll say to this guy, she's such a Chad. Well, at least he can get some dates. He doesn't know how hard it is. The victimization, right? They turned into the same lefties we make fun of over here on the right side of the aisle. Imagine being a man and all you do is complain and victimize yourself. Wow, dude. Such a man.
Don't validate women. Don't chase these hoes. Stay single. If you fall for the girl, or you display your emotions, or you really love the girl, she's going to play you, or you're a beta, or you're a simp, or you're a fucking loser. You're a pussy. Or if you do spill your emotions and she's going to cheat on you, she's going to leave you. She's going to go for the hotter dude, the more successful guy that isn't emotionally available. There's so much bullshit content online about these concepts, guys. It's crazy.
Well, a lot of those are true because the women themselves are damaged. So that works on damaged people. However, if you have a healthy self-esteem, none of that shit works on a woman.
It's actually crazy. It's crazy that I've even made a career off of a lot of these concepts. I was so deep into this stuff. I was so obsessed with pickup and that identity and having that success. I built an entire identity and career off of that. Right. And I was very successful with it because there's still a lot of good concepts from pushing yourself socially, working on character development, going out, interacting with the world, connecting with women. There's a lot of good things that I teach. Nothing that I ever taught was malintent, right? It all came from a very good place of wanting to just genuinely help men, because that's what worked for me too. And I still encourage guys to do that. But guys, understand that society as a whole, everything circulates around this idea of sex and sex appeal, sexualizing women and ego gratification, and you're the man if you could get the girl. And it's embedded into so many different areas of the world you don't even realize. Some of it is it's so far gone that it's almost weird if you called it out. Like the fact that I said it's at the gym, right? If I tell people, there's girls showing too much ass at the gym, there's a certain demographic of people that wouldn't even accept it. And they're like, why are you looking at women while you're at the gym?
Or why do you keep jacking off to porn? And the coomers will come out in droves. That's all I have. Wow, stop being such a fucking 1920s conservative. You want to take away our adult entertainment or video games. Same shit when you tell them, hey, bro, you might be addicted to video games. Why can't you let me have my hobbies? They'll defend this shit. They're defending the addictions that have become normalized in society today. What the fuck were men doing before porn and video games?
Working out, right? You ever see these funny memes where the girls hate when guys stare at me at the gym and she's just doing fucking the most ridiculous lunge with her ass just completely out and shit. It's an exaggerated concept, but it's really there. It's everywhere. It's in the fashion. It's literally in the fashion. Girls need to show their ass now. And I used to just be, guys, I'm telling you, it was so bad. After the 100 days of celibacy, I started to bring awareness to it, but it was so bad that even as of recently, I noticed, dude, I can't even walk down the street without scanning the entire environment to find every girl, and then I need to know what her ass looks like through her jeans. I'm just being fully honest. I realized this as of recently. I programmed my brain through pickup, through society, through sexualizing of the world, that when I go out, I needed to scan the entire environment and look for all of the different women, and I need to know what their ass looks like and how hot each girl is and what the interaction would go like if I were to go up to that girl, right? Now, look, I have slowly desensitized myself to that. It's not like that anymore. But that's the whole point of this video, is that we don't even realize just how bad we've been conditioned and brainwashed. Part of it is our own fault. Part of it is it's society for it being this way, but it's also on us to do better, right? That's the whole point of this video, is to bring awareness to the urges and the lifestyle and the loop, the infinite loop that you're probably chasing, right? So after I did that 100 days of celibacy, I did reflection on the whole thing too. I started to notice that I became a little bit detached from needing the sex so much. And full transparency, I did go back and experiment after that. And I realized that some of the girls that I was with afterwards would have been the girls that I would be forever just chasing these infinite loops with those kind of women. Not just the same girl. I wouldn't want the same girl. I'd want to get that one girl, go do that, slay that, notch on the belt, go out, repeat the process. If I really like a girl, I'd hang out a couple times, make sure she's still kind of like chasing me and really into me. And if she is, that means I'm super cool and I can brag about it to all my friends. But I don't want to be with her like that. If she starts to like me too much, that's going to be a turnoff, And so then I got to go find the next one and then the next one. And if one of them disrespects me, and then that girl's done, right? Because I can't.
That's the infinite black hole he's talking about. That's exactly what it is. He just described it perfectly. That's what you're being programmed to do.
Be disrespected. Only a beta male would do that. God forbid we had a healthy conversation and actually like communicated like boundaries, from a healthy perspective about what should be going on within the relationship. It's crazy to think about, man. Like, this is what society has come to. And I am not saying I'm above any of this by any means. I'm saying I've gotten so lost in these things.
Yep.
So lost in it. And I don't even think that that's a bad thing either. If you're going through it or you haven't experienced it, go explore that, dude. You need to actually go through some of that, because going through it and exploring it will actually give you some degree of certainty in what you.
No, I wouldn't agree on that part. I don't think you need to go through this whole loop, this death loop that men could go through. Just learn from others. That's what smart men do. Don't make the mistake yourself. Just see where it leads. That's why I try to give you guys that same exact advice he's saying, pretty much, is here's what's going to happen if you do decide to do this, and here's the path you're going to go down. If you're smart, you'll learn early. If not, you'll wake up 40, 50, 60 years old, the whole bachelor bullshit lifestyle alone, coping with the fact that you didn't have a family and, shit's getting harder, father time's coming after you, your knees don't work, it's hard to get out of bed, all that shit, dude. It starts to hit you all at once. You're going to wake up damn near on your deathbed and you're surrounded by nobody, nothing. All of your little trinkets and things you managed to collect. Your boat's not going to give a fuck about your car, your nice house. None of that shit matters at the end of the day.
Actually want later on in life. You can't just be wondering what if the rest of your life. Can't be wondering what if. But I'm just telling you guys, like, as of recently, I'm actually doing the opposite now. What I've concluded from all of this is that the more you condition yourself to something, the more you will crave that thing. It's very simple. And that goes with anything. If I am used to at night smoking a blunt, guess what? If at 9 p.m. comes around and I smoked the blunt the last 30 days in a row, I'm going to be craving the blunt tonight, guys. That's just how it is. And then if I give it up for a week, I'm going to be fiending for the blunt because I've been used to having it's only been a week. But I can also tell you, if I gave up the weed for 365 days, I wouldn't be craving it anymore. I'd actually look at that thing like, dude, those fucking loser stoners over there still want to smoke weed. So unproductive. It can be the same way when it comes to sexual content and porn and lust, guys. The thing is that you think you need it. And when you go like 7 days without it, you start fiending. And so you think, like, when I talk to dudes about them not masturbating or them not like having sex or those kind of things. And I'm not advocating that you need to be celibate, by the way, either. I'm not saying any of this. I'm just telling you, your brain will get accustomed to whatever you feed it. We are an adaptive species. All right. You think you need a certain thing. You don't. You don't need anything in this life. Trust me. You don't need anything, and you will be fully content without any specific thing if you go a long enough time without it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I see a lot of young dudes getting lost in lust, desire, women, porn, masturbation, validation, chasing, all of this shit, man.
Simple.
And again, if you find yourself extremely drawn to it, then maybe you need to explore that. But also, if you're a dude who's already had a decent amount of that, and you're at a point where these things are stopping you from accomplishing bigger goals in your life, like they're a massive distraction at times. Like me, dude, I couldn't even walk down the fucking street. I promise you that will if you've developed that, good luck trying to be happy in a long-term relationship. How the fuck could you be happy dating anybody, again, to a healthy relationship, when you've been so programmed to all of this other external shit? It just doesn't work that way, bro. And so that's why I'm trying to help you with this. Number one, if you could actually remove and detach from a lot of these things, you'll be a lot more productive in your life. You'll get a lot. How many of you dudes spend so much time scrolling on IG, looking at ass, it's ass taking up your explore page? You're jerky at night. You're thinking about some girl. You're swiping indefinitely online. You get one girl. You're chasing after a girl that you know you don't even want. You just want the fucking lust, right? And you've done it so many times already. Like, I know there's a lot of you dudes out there. I've been the same fucking way, man. Been the same way. I'm not even fully healed from it. I need to voice my opinion as I'm going through it too. This is for myself too, man. I'm not a saint. I am not healed, but it's something I'm going through too. And it's worth reporting because I know this will impact a lot of people's lives too. But I can tell you that the more that I detach from it and the more I become aware internally about all these things, the more productive I become, the more free I become, the more I could genuinely just connect with people. The more I feel confident that I could actually just be committed to a woman and be happy with that shit, be proud of that shit, and not feel this indefinite need that I just need to have this forever, eternal, burning desire of lust. I'm telling you, setting yourself up to not be able to be happy long term with one woman. And that's a problem. If you genuinely want to have somebody in your life as a quality partner that you could be proud of, that you admire, and she admires you, and you're like, damn, that's my fucking wife. Right. And you have a family that you can be proud of as a grown ass man. I don't see too many people that I look up to that actually have that quality. Unfortunately,
Rare.
That's how it is.
Yeah. He said nothing but the truth. And this guy says, swear at the end of the video, I cried. What you said about wanting to have an identity because of past trauma had me burst into tears because I don't really think I can even enjoy life anymore. I'm always thinking about chasing girls, wanting girls to be always attracted to me and getting that validation every day. I never thought that you would make a video like this when I first discovered. So I'm glad I know now that I can fully connect. Okay. Healing is possible. Okay. I resonate with this. A lot going on 18 months without releasing, and the level of freedom I feel is hard to put into words. Most important thing you said is that it affects your ability to have a long-term partner, wife, and family. So much talk about being the Chad and banging everything that moves and being able to, and not enough around how you're conditioning yourself for failure in long-term relationships if you want that, and kids. Exactly. Yep. Porn is an underrated addiction and maybe the worst. This guy said he quit cigarettes, alcohol, and weed, no problem, but it took him forever to cut that out of him completely. I could quit for a little bit, but always went back. I literally had to put blockers on his phone and PC to filter all the explicit content, including images. Over 1 year without it now, and there's still some urges now and again. I have zero urges with the other stuff. Another thing that's not mentioned is at any time you can bring up mental images of a favorite girl or scene. You're not seeing it, but it's still there, especially when you're alone, bored, and your libido kicks in. That's not a thing with the other stuff, at least for me. But I'm staying stronger than ever and work to rewire the brain. That's what it is, dude. You get into the stuff at 12, 13 years old while your brain is still being wired permanently, and you can get the wiring fucking crossed for the rest of your life potentially. And working that out of you, rewiring yourself again, is going to take so much work. That's why it's so damaging to young men. And a lot of the guys in the private community and the calls talk about the same exact stuff, dude. Everybody has the same problem, especially some of the younger guys, because they grew up on the internet age and they had access to this since they could basically have a phone in their hand. They've become dependent on it, and they don't even know how dependent they are. They know it's a problem, but they can't even see a world without it at all. It's so sad to see. Even in Spartan Challenge, it's like a 6-month promise to yourself. I talk about it often, especially in the community. It's like where you give up all these vices. It's just 6 months, guys. 6 months, and they're struggling with 6 months of this stuff. The two hardest things for guys to quit were always the video games and the adult entertainment. Why? Because those give you the most dopamine hits. The video games keep you plugged in, keep you feeling like you're a part of something, like you're building something, like you're conquering something. And then they have the loot boxes, right? All this, and the drops and all this shit. They've basically put in gambling-esque addictions inside the video games that you're playing. So they keep you hooked with gambling mechanics in this digital world where you're losing your entire life, not really achieving anything, but you get to hit that start over if you fuck up, and you get to power through and grind and get extremely rare items, or, pimp your character out with shit by buying whatever microtransactions. It's insane how they get you hooked on that shit. And then you have your adult entertainment, because it's the most cardinal sin of all, lust. Yeah, society is so effed. Anywho, I'm curious to read the comments on this one, because it's one that really does hit at the core of a lot of men's issues today. And it's part of a guy's identity. And just like when you bring down the lefty's identity, right? That's not rooted in reality. It all comes crashing down around them. And then the ego comes out, the anger, the shit talking, the defensive attitude. All right, watch you. I'm curious to see how much of these guys we'll see in the comment section. And thoughts on everybody else's experiences trying to get through some of these things and addictions and noticing what's happening in society as a whole. Anyways, appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Check the second one out if you haven't. Appreciate everybody that's on the private community, all the calls that we've been doing, all the private consults, and links are in the description below. See you next time. Take care, everyone.